Hello world and hello Philippines. Good day. Today we're going to discuss about the integration of technology in instruction as of course your module one. And if we're going to see as teachers, we need to integrate the technology in our teaching and learning process. So what are expected among you at the end of course, these lessons. So we have, of course, these intended learning outcomes. The first is to establish the significance of technology in the 21st century instruction. And of course, the second is differentiate the roles of teachers and students in the earlier years and in, of course, the 21st century of instructions. If you notice, of course, in what is happening today and in our present time, we have, of course, the teacher, even the student, and the instructions, okay, have been, of course, the constant entities of education from several, of course, centuries back until the present time. But if you're going to notice, of course, we keep on changing, okay, the way probably we teach, and of course, on how we're going to implement whatever we have inside the classroom, like the activities that we have, even in the assessment and so on. So the only constant, of course, is the teacher, being, of course, the facilitator, the student who is the center, and of course, the instruction that will, of course, come with the topic and so on. However, of course, strategies, even our style and educational tools and technologies improve not in many generations for better delivery of the lesson and the learning content. So these are, of course, our aids in order to help us to, of course, facilitate our teaching and learning process better and better. That's it. Then, of course, we will have to define first what is technology. So if you can see, there is, of course, the definition of this. Okay. And we have two ways on how to define technology. The first is, of course, the application of scientific knowledge and for rather practical purposes. If you notice, there is the skill, the expertise, the knowledge, and of course, even the training. So it talks about the scientific knowledge and the practical purposes. We have also, of course, technology as machinery and equipment developed from the application of scientific knowledge. So if you can see, there is device tools, no apparatus, the kit, and the equipment or the machinery. So it talks about the equipment and, of course, the machine itself. Where does this came from? Probably, of course, with the application of the scientific knowledge based on the definition that we have, okay, and the other side. So that's it. Again, when we talk of technology, there are two ways on how to define the application of scientific knowledge for practical purposes, and of course, the machinery and equipment developed from the application of scientific knowledge. Before we can have probably the thorough discussion, we have to have a review or recap of the 8 M's of teaching. And it is said that every journey has its start and, of course, an end. So if you're going to teach, of course, there is the starting point wherein you need to have probably a review, then, of course, have a motivation, then, of course, the discussion itself of the lesson, and, of course, the assessment, then your assignment. So that's it. Okay, and teaching and learning is, of course, a journey in education. It's a very good journey for all of us, no, teachers and soon to be teachers. And it is, of course, being treasured by everybody. And it is not only the matter or what to teach that is important, take note, but the manner of delivery, meaning how are you going to deliver or how are you going to teach? Okay, and this plays a very important role in today's teaching and learning environment. Also, it is not only the matter, okay, or what was learned that is significant, but of course the quality, when we say, of course, the quality, the output, the product, no, or the authenticity of learning, where students become life ready. So that's the best probably application of the learning. Okay, right now, of course, we are prepared, no, we're preparing you, or you are prepared, of course, to face the real life, particularly, of course, na the classroom setup or setting wherein you become, of course, teachers. Okay, so let's have a review of these 8 M's or elements of teaching that we need to have. So the first is the milieu, and it talks about the learning environment. Okay, where do you teach? What are you referring this to classroom? Or probably if you're a P teacher, are you referring also this to a gym or probably a dance studio or even a swimming pool, for example? And the next is, of course, matter. And when I say matter, it is the content of learning, probably the subject matter, okay, the topic, okay, and so on. Then we have, of course, method. When I say method, this is teaching and learning activities. How do you teach? It talks about the how. Okay, so it talks of course, the strategies, the teaching styles needed, of course, in teaching. We have also material. So it talks about the resources of learning. Okay, what do you use? That's the question. So it can be, of course, your IM that really matters. We have also the communication system, which talks about media. Okay, and we have also another M is motivation. That this is, of course, arousing and sustaining the interest in learning. This is also very important because there should be, okay, the continuous, of course, flow of learning. How are you going to sustain their interest? What kind of teacher are you? So we need to have, of course, fun and, of course, very interesting learning process. Then we have, of course, mastery. So students need to master. And that is also known as, of course, the internalization of learning. At the end of the day, of course, you are going to ask if they master the lesson, if there is mastery. And the last, of course, which we cannot probably avoid it, okay, is, of course, the measurement. That is the evidence that learning took place. Okay, how, of course, we're going to measure, of course, through the assessment. Again, we have 8 M's of teaching. The first is milieu, matter, method, material, media, motivation, mastery, and, of course, measurement. So that's it. Let's continue. Okay, you can see here pictures, and there is really a comparison between the teachers of yesterdays and or yesteryears rather and the teachers of the 21st century. Okay, and another scene that you can have is the teachers and students in the digital age. Okay, what probably strike you most with this picture? Okay, are, of course, the teachers of yesteryears are effective, or they're, of course, behind compared to the teachers of the 21st century? Let's find out. But of course, if we're going to have, based on this, both of the two, no, okay, pictures really, of course, matter. Then we have, of course, the characteristics, no, of the teachers of the early generations, okay, or the teachers of the 21st century. So if we're going to compare the two, we have, of course, the following, of course, characteristics. The first is in the teacher of yesteryears, the dissemination of information is through lectures. Then, of course, it requires students memorize the contents of the textbooks. So memorization, okay, is present in, of course, the teacher of yesteryears. And of course, there is the textbooks and workbooks as their reference, and then give assessments through, of course, written examination. So there's no performance task. And it focuses more on the responsibility and relationship with, of course, the students as recipients of knowledge. Take note, responsibility, okay, and relationship. Then followers of policies prescribed by the school. So the school, of course, prescribe whatever policies, and of course the teacher should follow and use lecture as the teaching method. So that is the main teaching method used, okay, lecture. And of course, deliver the same lesson every year, meaning there is no updating, revising, and etc. However, in the teachers of the 21st century, it allows students to solve real world problems, Other than that, it allows students to construct their own understanding of the subject matter. Okay, and make use of manipulative materials. I like that one, manipulative, wherein they can, of course, manipulate. The five senses, okay, we have, okay, are being used. Then make use of course, multitude of prints and electronic resources. Just a click of your finger, you can have now the information you need, okay, in order to, of course, to learn. And we have performance tests. Our teacher give performance-based assessment, okay, for that matter, which is very good because there is the application of these to real life situation. And why then their responsibility and their relationship with colleagues, community, and other stakeholders. So the teacher is not just limited inside the classroom, but go beyond and of course have their partnership, even good relationship with, of course, his or her colleagues, the community itself, and of course the stakeholders. And take note, teachers are participating in the decision making in schools. And of course, teachers are using variety of teaching methods appropriate in the students' learning. Okay, take note, teaching method, okay, or methods or the strategies and techniques appropriate. And of course, spend time in researching new updates. That's very nice, no? Characteristics of the teachers of the 21st century, wherein, of course, they use of technology. That's why we need to integrate technology in our teaching and learning process. Okay. What about, of course, some of the characteristics? Okay, we're in the teachers of these yesteryears are to focus, no, with self achievement. Okay, take note, self achievement, the self teacher itself, and the target is to finish the lesson within, no, the period. No, I don't care, supposing I don't care if the topic is long for that period, as long as I can finish, that's it. And autocratic, in which teachers are in control of everything. Take note, teachers are in control of everything in all events of the classroom. So makapangyarihan si teacher, na, and hold of knowledge, or the holder rather of knowledge, or gatekeeper of information. Take note, it's the teacher who is the bida, quote unquote, and of course, technology illiterate. However, in the teachers of the 21st century, okay, these are still, of course, the characteristics. So they mentor new teachers. We have actually that responsibility to mentor new teachers, and the target actually the learners to be ready in the challenges of today's learning. And other than that, of course, it's the teachers are democratic, in which teachers allow students to take responsibility in their learning. I like that one. Okay, that you have, of course, the responsibility to learn. Okay, and of course, teachers are the facilitators of learning. And lastly, of course, technology or digital literate. So these are, of course, the characteristics of teachers of the 21st century. Take note, teachers of the 21st century are believed to be more immersed in the use of technologies and would get, of course, away from being immigrant teachers. Okay. And we say immigrant, it can also, of course, negative. Huh? And teachers of the 21st century do not merely transfer knowledge to the students. More than teaching the subject matter, they teach students how to learn to live. I like that one. That is the very practical application of the learning, okay, that students probably can get from you as teachers soon. So that's it. Let's have the characteristics of the teachers of the 21st century. Okay, teachers, of course, can be channel. He can be communicator, of course, a learner. Okay, you can be a futurist, no? Teachers can be, of course, futurists. They are leaders, exemplars, collaborators, and venture player. Again, these are, of course, the characteristics of the 21st century teachers. They are channel, communicator, learner, futurist, leader, exemplar, collaborator, and of course, a venture player. Let's discuss these one by one. Okay, when we say, of course, channel, teacher serves as stations in connecting the curriculum, software, hardware, and the dynamics of teaching in their instructions. Take note of the word stations. Take a look with um, stations like GMA, ABS-CBN, okay, wherein, of course, they can be the connecting factor, no? In order to have, of course, news, updates, and so on. Then the second is, of course, communicator. So being a teacher who can communicate with the students anytime and anywhere. I like that one, anytime and anywhere. Of course, with the use of tools and technologies. Don't forget to use, of course, the tools and technologies. Okay, the third one is, of course, learner. So teacher never cease in learning new knowledge, and learning the technologies of today will, of course, give the teachers a big leap in the advancements of or advances of today and tomorrow's teaching and learning. Okay, again, teachers never cease in learning new knowledge. Okay, we need to seek information. We need to learn new things. Okay, in order to update ourselves. The more we update, the better. Okay, teachers can also be, of course, futurists. So teachers are futurists not only on what they want their students to achieve at the end of the lesson, but on how they, of course, will deliver the lesson with, okay, the use of emerging tools and other web technologies that will help, of course, the learners understand the lesson better. So that's it. We need to be futuristic. We do not stop after probably graduation or after graduating college. We need to learn more in order to, of course, keep track of what is new, particularly with technology that we can use in teaching and learning process. Then we have, of course, teacher as a leader or leaders. Teachers are leading, of course, their students to the proper and appropriate use of learning materials, including, of course, technology. But the question is, of course, if teachers are not knowledgeable, so you cannot, of course, lead. That's the big question there. So we need to be a leader. Okay. Next is, of course, exemplar. From the word example, no, you should be, or teacher should be models when it comes to behavior, the way we speak, no, language, dealings with colleagues and students, even the use of facilities and technologies, or social media networks and blogs by avoiding, of course, the use and misuse of technologies in education. So that is why we need to, of course, be a good role model in the social media. So we need to, of course, watch what you um, post. Okay. Think of course, what is being good with the information you are sharing. Okay. Do not, of course, add no, things that can probably weaken, destroy, okay, the name of others and so on. If that information is not for the good of everybody, then never post. Okay, or just probably think before you click. Okay, then we need to be collaborator. Teachers must be agents, not only inside the classroom, but also in space. Take note, in space. Teachers must pull out their collaborative tools to be able to continue to share and contribute their knowledge to the learners. So we need to collaborate each other. The better collaboration, of course, we'll have we have to produce, of course, good output. And the last is, of course, venture player. Okay, teachers are venture players in taking chances to apply new knowledge. So we should not be afraid of probably failing or failures. Okay, so skills, practices, and technology, especially if these will level up the students' understanding and learning. We need to try. We need to try new things, new technologies in order to for students not to learn more and more. So that's it. Okay, let's have, of course, the students. Okay, the students, we need to compare the students of the early generations and, of course, the students of the 21st century. Take note, okay? Students in the earlier generations are indeed, of course, different in today's generations. Like, for example, technologies, not in their side, make them more advanced in information, where they do not need to have, of course, a long distance walk just to have access information from the books in the library. Okay, compared to, of course, our generations. Now it's very different. almost all informations and tools, of course, they need are already at the palm of their hands. That's what I've mentioned. It's just by a click of a finger. What they need is, of course, to access and use these technologies rightfully and appropriately. Again, I would like to highlight they need to access the use of these technologies rightfully and, of course, appropriately. Okay, let's have the characteristics of students of yesteryears. So there's, of course, they are receivers of facts and information. Okay, learning is based on, of course, repetition. They need to repeat and repeat and repeat in order to learn. Okay, then, of course, they use textbooks. They are passive recipients of information. Okay, they are competitive learners. Then factual. They need to have facts, factual thinkers. Then unilateral thinkers. When we say unilateral, straight, okay, straight line and so on. In active process of learning, then of course they are dependent learners, single taskers, and of course single sensory input provider. However, of course, students in this 21st century, they are active creators of knowledge. Then of course, interactive knowledge constructor. They are the one who construct their knowledge. Okay, and internet users, no? They can access a vast of information just by a click of a finger. Okay, what you need is probably, of course, a connection and actively engage in class activities. Okay, they're collaborative. They collaborate each other. Of course, they are reflective, critical, and creative thinkers. I like that one. Reflective, critical, and creative thinkers. They are also divergent, no, thinkers. Okay. When we say divergent, it involves probably many methods, ways, and so on. Okay. Or they are not just alone. Okay. They need others also. Say divergent thinkers. Okay. There is collaboration that involved. And of course, dynamic process of learning. We say dynamic. Okay. Probably it keeps on evolving and evolving. Okay. That's static. Then self-managing learners, they can manage, of course, their own. And they are multitaskers. And of course, there is multisensory input provider compared to the single sensory. So that's it. Okay. So with, of course, the existence of technology, now our students are expected to, of course, learn better. So they have to get away with, of course, the passive learners. They need to be active learners for that. So what they're going to do, they need to learn to generate their own ideas and construct their own understanding of the lesson. Okay, the second is create works that are original. The third is, of course, communicate clearly with other students and with their teachers. Communication has, of course, a good role here. Then collaborate with one another to achieve higher standard of learning and, of course, innovate learning and their outputs. So we need to have innovation, not as students. Okay, soon to be, of course, teachers. So we have, of course, this list now of some useful and effective teaching methods and strategies that we need to have. Okay, so if you notice, instructions in the early generations and of course instructions in the 21st century are of course different. So here are of course useful and effective teaching methods and strategies, okay, that we can have. So we need to have interactive lecture. Okay, we have case-based learning and problem-based, no? We have also inquiry-based learning. Other than that, we need to have project-based learning. Okay, take note, problem-based learning and project-based learning are different things. Okay, we can have also simulation, even role play. Okay, we can do experiential learning that we need to expose our students. Okay, sometimes it is called immersion. Okay, but we have also laboratory work. Okay, for sciences subject, we need to have laboratory, TLE also. Okay, then field work, peer tutoring. You're doing this one with your classmate. You have, of course, peer tutoring, day learning, which of course involves the technology, and of course the PISER, which is peer instruction and student electronic response. So that's PISER. Okay, so we need, of course, as what I mentioned, we need to, of course, innovate and probably consider some other effective teaching methods and strategies also when we teach. And then we have, of course, the instructions of the early generations versus, of course, the instructions of the 21st century. So you can see traditional learning environment wherein teacher is the center of instruction, then single sense simulation, then single path progression. Then we have, of course, single medium. There is isolated work, information delivery, okay, which is probably the work of the teacher. Then it's passive learning. There is factual or knowledge-based learning. And of course, there is reactive response. Okay, and it is, of course, isolated or artificial in context. Wherein in the new learning environment, it is, of course, student-centered learning. Then there is, of course, multi-sensory simulation. Then there is multi-path progression. Okay, there is multimedia. No, the use of multimedia is there. Then collaborative work. And then there is, of course, information exchange and active exploratory or inquiry-based learning. And of course, there is critical thinking and informed decision making. It is also proactive or planned action. And of course, I like being authentic, not real, in a real world context. So that's the new learning environment, okay, in the 21st century. Okay. So I hope you learned something for today with, of course, regarding our lessons, with the integration of technology to the teaching and learning process. So we have, of course, many strategies that we can probably learn from these, and even, of course, insights on how we can make our classroom effective and better as 21st century teachers. Okay, this is our, of course, references for the lessons for today or the notes for today. Okay, I wish you, of course, the best in life today and after. Thank you, everybody. God bless. This is Sir A saying padayon. Thank you so much.